Welcome to the Rachel Varga podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Varga, double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures performed. I'm an international clinical trainer for other physicians and nurses as well, celebrity skin expert, having been featured on some of the world's top proactive aging podcasts, and much, much more. Learn more at rachelvarga.ca and enjoy today's episode. Welcome, everyone, to today's live recording right here on the Rachel Varga podcast. I have a very exciting guest joining us today. We have the pleasure of connecting not too long ago in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have Dr. Anna Cabeca joining us here. And in today's show, we are discussing balancing hormones, skin and hair optimization, and something called sexy Oxyplay for being our most vibrant and radiant versions. So this concept of Oxyplay is something that Dr. Anna Cabeca has brilliantly coined as a method of boosting our oxytocin to look and feel our best. When our hormones are balanced, everything else is going to come into play, including having the best hair, skin, and nails of our lives. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Anna Cabeca if you are new to hearing about her. She is a DO, OBGYN, FACOG, has served 10,000 plus women in her private practice and millions more through her books, online videos, and articles for over 20 years. A partial list of her credentials include triple board certified and fellow of gynecology and obstetrics, integrative medicine, anti-aging, and regenerative medicine specialist with certifications in functional medicine, sexual health, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. She is also the author of USA Today bestseller, The Hormone Fix. It's never too late to thrive. This book is your guide to doing exactly that, says Dr. Mark Hyman, who's also a friend on the show here. She's a New York Times bestselling author of Keto Green and also frequent media presence on shows and media outlets like Forbes, People, Mind Body Green, ABC, NBC, CBS developer of Mighty Maca Plus, Jolva Kiss, and Keto Green signature products. You can learn all about Dr. Anna Cabeca in the links in the description of this episode. And be sure to give her some love. Follow her on Instagram, which we're actually going live on Instagram together just shortly after this as well. Just behind the scenes, she is an innovator in the circle of health entrepreneurs that I'm a part of, and Dr. Anna Cabeca inspires me. And this year, she was the receiver of an award of clinical excellence in age management. And if you've been following the show here, you know that my angle is all about slowing aging and achieving and receiving the best hair, skin, and nails of our life, which is achieved partially through balancing our hormones. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Anna Cabeca. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. So awesome to be here with you, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
I'm thrilled for having you here on the show. And it was so much fun getting a chance to connect not too long in Scottsdale. If you look at the thumbnail of this episode here on YouTube, there's a little selfie of Dr. Anna Cabeca and I all dressed up, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. And, just having a dress up time, costume time. Oh my gosh, I enjoyed it. I didn't, sometimes you forget, especially coming out of the pandemic and being more isolated than we definitely wanted to be, to just have that, pre-pandemic feel and that social interaction and good camaraderie and collaboration.
Yes, and speaking of collaboration, here we are collaborating to share our gifts with each and every one of you who's tuning in. So Dr. Anna Cabeca, I would love for you to share your story. Before we started recording, you let me know that you also have a background in anti-aging, medical aesthetics as well. So what is your story, and how did you get to where you are today, and your passion for serving people with balancing hormones and this concept of Oxyplay? I'd love for you to share your story with everybody.
Oh my gosh. And I love sharing it. It's definitely not where I envisioned I would be starting out. So I think that, one of the things is back in, early 2000, I really started to get interested in anti-aging medicine and the science behind, let's say, active aging versus anti-aging. But the reason is because I grew up in I'm first generation American, and my mom was from the Middle East. And by the time she was 52, she was undergoing her first cardiovascular surgery. And I was 16 years old at the time. And I recognized that the research they were basing her intervention on was performed on men. And I said, well, how can this be good? And then I really dug into women's health, and that led me into the field of OBGYN with a love for coronary, health and the cardiovascular system. But I really began realizing how wrong how we had strayed from really healing people. And when she was 67, I was a resident at Emory University at the time. She passed away undergoing a second heart surgery, and she was under 11 medications. And at that time, I looked, and there were no two of those medications that were studied in one person, short term, let alone long term, and none in women or menopausal women. And so it really drove me to understand, like why that happened and how wrong we went, and look for other answers than what we were being taught or pimped by pharma per se, and to really balance that out in my approach. But with all of that, and I'm grateful for that experience, I underwent a traumatic experience and early menopause at age 39, and I was diagnosed with infertility, early menopause. I'd failed the highest doses of infertility treatments. And that's it. Oftentimes we receive a diagnosis, or we're given a diagnosis, and we think that's our destiny, or we're given a prescription and that becomes our description. And that is like so far from the truth, and it takes away our identity. And I am, I'm thankful for God and the journey that I've been on, but I was able to reverse that early menopause death sentence for me, and naturally conceived a baby at age 41. She's now 14. And she's the reason I'm in Dallas, Texas, driving a big old dude truck on weekends, hauling a 33-foot horse trailer. So here I am.
I love it. I love it. And congratulations on your family. I heard your grandkids earlier before we started recording.
My
So I was like, okay,
granddaughter,
you're
yeah,
talking
she
about
sounds like more
infertility,
than one, but
but I know you got some grandkids. Yeah, I love it. Being around horses. Oh my gosh. Animals, horses. I've done horsemanship training myself, grew up around horses. My sister grew up riding dressage and English riding. And I was always a little intimidated by these horses when I was younger. But then as I got a little bit older, I started to appreciate just the beauty and the magic. And it's crazy when you really kind of get in tune with these animals, you can direct them with your energy. It's the wildest thing. But so that's one of your favorite pastimes that probably keeps you young, hey, is being with
oh,
animals.
definitely, definitely. And horses are such special animals. So yeah, no, it's really incredible. First, very intimidating that, my daughter has barrel horses, so quarter horses, and they can be hot tempered. So if you're going with any level of anxiety or energy, like anxiousness, they pick up on that. So it's true therapy in working with horses.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting back in the saddle myself after a couple injuries because I loved it so much. All right. I would love to hear from you, Dr. Anna Cabeca. What is the latest in hormone balancing for optimal vibrancy and slowing aging?
Yeah, and
What
I
do we
think
need to know?
Yeah, no, it's such a great question. I've been thinking a lot about this because I was early implementer into bioidentical hormone therapy in 1999, when one of my first patients, when I was in private practice, coming out of Emory thinking I knew everything. I had this 63-year-old woman come in, 5'11", silver haired, and maybe 150 pounds, and she was a big executive, the CEO of a biotech firm, and she said, Dr. Anna, I was diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ at Emory. They won't give me any estrogen or vaginal therapy. And it hurts to have sex with my husband. And I'm a woman of the 60s. Sex is important to me. And I'd rather die than live this way. Help me. There was no, can you help me? There was help me. And I was like, oh, okay, let me look at it. And she was kind of intimidating to me. The first, one of the, first couple weeks in my medical practice. And I'm like, oh shit, what do I know about this? And I was a researcher before medical school Rachel, like you, and a published researcher. And so I went to the research because there was nothing in my doctor's bag. It was empty. And I would be the first of many times I found my doctor's bag empty. And so I went to the research and I said, what can I do for her? Well, vaginal estrogen, there's no problem with that, but can we do better? And androgens, testosterone, DHEA came to the forefront. And so I started using bioidentical compounding hormones with her. I consented her and I said, there's not long-term research on this per se, but this is what I found. And this is what the science shows. And I think this could really help you. She implemented that, and I followed her for many years. And I will tell you, at her 2-decade mark from working with me, so at 83 years old, she was, I saw her, she was doing amazing. Still, she was lobbying on Capitol Hill, 83, published a book, and her bone density, well, she was on crutches. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Like, your bone density had improved over time, or it's been relatively stable versus declining over 20 years. And she goes, oh, I was skiing the black slopes in Colorado. So I was like, that's the difference. And when we do it in the concept of, instead of hormone replacement, we use what I like to say is, I want to do hormone replenishment with you. I don't want to replace, I want to replenish. And there's a nuance in that statement that I really resonate with, is because I never want to shut down what your body's producing naturally. I don't want to shut down. I don't want to remove. I don't want to displace anything that your body's doing naturally, because hormones are more than chemical substances. They are energetic molecules, and we have yet to really fully understand them. So that is something that I found incredibly important.
Well, speaking of energetics and energetic molecules, I love to ask everybody that's here on the show this one question. And some people can answer it, or they haven't quite unpacked it themselves in their practice, but some rockstar healers, in my opinion, are noticing this. So I would love to ask you, Dr. Anna Cabeca, what is radiance to you? What are some of the aspects that makes someone radiant? Think of your most high vibe, beautiful, radiant, thriving patients. Yeah. When they present to you and you're like, oh, you barely need my help. What are some of their lifestyle practices? What is radiance to you?
Oh my gosh, that is health. Like, I'd rather be given the compliment that you look so healthy, right? You look so healthy versus you look beautiful. You look so healthy. And I think that goes hand in hand with beauty. So radiating health from the inside out, radiating love and compassion, it's the highest vibration that we can have. So coming from a high vibration, coming from a high energy, a high health state, brings us into the beauty of radiance.
And I would go a step further to say that it's achieved through purification of your body, mind, spirit, energy. And then, of course, with biohacking. And I'm a huge fan of biohacking, your air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, and detoxing. And we were chatting off camera about the importance of, if you are going to pursue rejuvenation procedures like lasers, like injectables, like surgery, like body contouring, it's really important that this toxic bucket is as empty as possible. You don't have any autoimmune stuff running in the background. And in fact, I've put enormous effort into, every time I write an academic article, to publish that and help to spread awareness of this important topic so that we're not hurting people and adding to toxicity with rejuvenation. So let's just talk a little bit about biohacking, because I know you're a biohacker too. You're in the circles that I roll with as well. We actually collaborated on Orshi McNaughton's The Women's Biohacking Conference. And if you want to check out some of my past events, go to rachelvarga.ca/events, and you can actually catch a lot of the replays of different events and summits that I've spoken on, which Dr. Anna Cabeca spoke on as well. So what are some of the biohacks that you like to employ in your daily life, both to give you that personal and professional edge, and that you feel like help you feel your best and slow aging?
Yeah, no, and I love how you say empty your toxic bucket. I really love that, because that's a good visual description of, of it. Absolutely. And I think I always tell clients, I can't balance your hormones. I can't add hormones when you're already toxic, when you're already full, when your liver's overloaded, when we haven't cleansed your system. So I think that's, that's that's an important piece. So I think for biohacking, and we have a mutual friend, Dave Asprey, of course, the father of biohacking, and I was just on his stage. And one of the things that I speak about is again, that hormone replenishment. So, but it comes as secondary to detoxing and empowering your body's natural hormone production. So for biohacking, I'm just thinking through my day, the things that I've learned. Part of my journey in restoring my own physical health has been what I call the keto green way, with breaking up with the toxic ex-boyfriend sugar, cleaning up our systems, and intermittent fasting, and no more snacking, and eating high quality protein and healthy fats. That is transformational. That is transformational, especially through menopause, because as we lose estrogen levels, even if we're supplementing, we still have impaired gluconeogenesis. So it's really important to shift into a state of ketosis. And that is a high vibration state. And so be able to bounce into and out of ketosis with some good flexibility is one of the things. So intermittent fasting. I also have a very strong gratitude practice. And so I learned about through my own journey, not something I learned in med school or residency, but through my own trauma and having PTSD, I learned about what I call the cortisol oxytocin disconnect and the relationship between cortisol and oxytocin. And honest to God, if I didn't experience this disconnect and burnout myself, I never would have understood how important this relation, or even understood that there was a relationship here. And so for me, empowering the most, longevity producing hormone, the highest, vibration hormone in our body, the hormone oxytocin, that has been key to biohacking and longevity. And mostly we can do that free through disciplines of the mind and lifestyle and practices that we incorporate throughout our day. But oxytocin is also the most alkalinizing hormone in our body, where cortisol is the most acidic. And again, it is so critical to health and love. Because at the end of our days, Rachel, what do we want? We want good friendships. We want to know that we are well loved and we have loved well. And that's part of the healthy existence, or radiant, as you say, a radiant life. And so that has been anything I can do to increase oxytocin. So that can be Oxyplay, which an alternative to an optimized foreplay, right? But Oxyplay in general, just doing things that bring you pleasure, having fun, laughing, playing, enjoying the relationships you have. Anything we can do to increase oxytocin and regulate cortisol is the biggest longevity hack and biohack that I have in my doctor's bag, for sure.
I would absolutely echo everything you just said. First and foremost, yes, intermittent fasting. When I'm doing it at home, I don't know, I didn't really notice huge benefits of it. Sure, it behind the scenes contributed to metabolic fitness. Ben Azadi is a friend of mine. We actually met in Miami not too long ago. We've interviewed each other.
I love Ben Azadi, Keto Camp. Yeah. I love him.
Totally. So when you mentioned gratitude, he talks about vitamin G as well, and really important. But the biggest thing that I've noticed with interviewing people like Cynthia Thurlow, Melanie Avalon, Dave Asprey, the biggest names in biohacking and fasting, chatting with Reed Davis behind the scenes, Ben Azadi, no one was really talking about this concept of doing a long fast. So after I saw you in Scottsdale, I hit up Sedona and Utah and did a 5 to 7 day long fast in the desert at elevation. I'm used to sea level. So I got to see just my ability to flex in and out of ketosis and metabolic fitness, and just kind of how, like, quote unquote, badass I really am, like putting myself in these situations. But I'm telling you, doing a 5 to 7 day long fast has profound impacts. You're going to get rid of all those senescent cells that are contributing to pain, that are contributing to inflammation, which is going to age you. The impacts I saw on my skin were incredible. The spiritual and energetic impacts I received from it, also mental clarity. And yes, it allowed me to kind of tap into this more feminine aspect of myself, being grounded in nature. I basically camped for a week. It was epic. And I, of course, for sure had this huge dump of oxytocin because I was just living my best life, appreciating the beauty around me, appreciating the beauty of my body, being able to do all this stuff, and then getting the benefits of this long fast. And Benazati was sharing with me that when you do these longer fasts, it can actually, research has shown, to decrease your chance of cancer by 90% by doing these longer fasts once a year. It's not for everybody. So I'd
And
say
you have to work up, right? You have to work up to it.
yes.
Yeah. Very good. No,
So
I agree.
I'd love for you to talk about this concept of Oxyplay because I'd never heard of this before. And I think a lot of men and women are really struggling with getting back to the healthy feminine because we've been programmed to be go, 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 high beta, work like a man, right? Burn the candle at both ends, high cortisol dumping. But we need to flip that script and be in a more conducive environment for slowing aging and feeling our best. So, what on earth is Oxyplay?
Well, I
And how
made that
can
up.
I know you did. I know you did. You're excellent at speaking to this. So I would love for you to explain to everyone how Oxyplay can help us feel more sexy, be in our most feminine state, and what it does on a physiological level.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So again, talk about Oxyplay as a much better alternative to foreplay, and especially as I've worked in sexual health. Really, I mean, I'm a gynecologist and obstetrician, but I really didn't understand sexual health, and in my own life or in my patient's life, and I just started to dig into it. And then after my own experience with PTSD, disconnect, and divorce, I'm really getting into oxytocin research. And again, as an obstetrician, we use oxytocin to pitocin to stimulate labor. It is the hormone of bonding and connection. Oxytocin is excreted in spades when you orgasm, when you have pleasure, when you laugh, when you have positive touch and affection, hugging, kissing, but also playing with your pets, getting outside in nature, doing what you did, connecting with nature. Those are ways to increase oxytocin. And so what we didn't understand in research, like too much artificial oxytocin can damage your body's own natural production of oxytocin. So that's really important with high dose pitocin research that has come out. And the other piece, so that association with autism, which is a low oxytocin state. And frankly, that should be front page news, but it is not. And the research is out there. So I feel very compelled to bring that to people's attention because we have industrialized and the labor and delivery process so much that it's become where oxytocin is just part of the normal admission process almost for a woman in labor. And having just delivered over 500 babies, but recently delivered my granddaughter, my first grandbaby, in a birthing center here in Dallas. And my daughter was opted for the natural experience. And there was no intervention, and it was just the most honest to goodness incredible delivery of my life, incredible to witness and be part of her experience and see how powerful that is, and what an amazing grandbaby I have, and thinking, oh my gosh, how much have we industrialized obstetrics when this is such a better way. So oxytocin is certainly part of that labor and delivery experience, but the fact that it is so powerful in other ways in our lives, I just kept digging into the research. So I came up with Oxyplay because what I recognize is that, oxytocin is the glue that keeps a relationship together. And especially when you're under stress and cortisol is leading the battle or winning the battle between oxytocin and cortisol, that you have that disconnect, you have that burnout, and that can create burnout from a practice you love, a work you love, people you love, creating burnout and divorce, and that's unnecessary, and that doesn't have to be that way. If we know that there's a physiology to our behavior, which you talk about so much, and your audience probably knows very, very well, but physiology affects our behavior. And so if we don't have the physiology to be able to connect, that receptivity, then we're not. So incorporating that into lives sexually and or through non-sexual, right? No partner, no problem, through non-sexual ways as well. But that becomes, again, critical healing hormone. So Oxyplay came about through doing things, and that's better than foreplay because it goes beyond the bedroom, increasing your oxytocin level through gratitude practices, through playing more, through what brings you pleasure in and outside the bedroom, sexually and not. What brings you pleasure, and being able to communicate that in your life with your romantic partner, or just in general with your kids, with your teammates, etc. I mean, what brings you pleasure? What makes you smile? What brings you joy? And are we allowing ourselves to receive that as much as we give that?
Oh, so beautifully said. And ending on that point of joy, living a joy centered life is one of the keys to living a life of high vibe, radiant, slowly aging, living your best life, essentially. And one of the things that I recently discovered, so after hearing your session on Oxyplay at this big event, you were on stage in this smoking red dress. Like I'm telling you guys, Dr. Anna Cabeca's got one banging body. She's got the curves in all the right places, and you just looked so
Thank
awesome on
you.
stage.
Thank you. Oh my
Your
God.
styling was on point, your dress length, shape, all of that. You had this beautiful, very feminine plunging neckline. And you looked amazing. And one of the things that I've noticed is that Oxyplay through laughter is one of the easiest ways to get better abs and feel more sexy. So after the event, having a good time with friends in the desert, exploring, doing this long fast, I was laughing a lot. And then about a week or two later, I look at my waistline. It's like, holy smokes, this is like the easiest way to get abs ever. So just try and laugh more during your work life and in your professional life with your relationships. It will also bring you more joy. It'll get you more in that playful, energetic space as well, which is going to be more conducive to this concept of Oxyplay. I also loved what you said about the free birth. And that's actually something that is in my path. I'm actually not opposed to be doing a completely wild and free birth with no interventions, because I know my body has the capability to do what it needs to do. And, that's totally a 180 from me being a traditionally trained, double board certified registered nurse to saying, hey, wait a second. I know I can do this. I got the confidence, but that is a huge thing when other people then try and put their fears on you and all this stuff. And I'm just keeping my armor strong. It's like, obviously you have to be flexible in things, but we really do have the power within us to live our best lives in a way that is just right for us. And sometimes in order to maintain that sovereignty over ourselves, our body, mind, spirit, energy, detoxification practices, we really do have to tune in and listen to what is in our highest good that might not look like another person's path as well. So when we're looking at supporting our bodies as best we can, supporting our hormones as best we can for the ladies and the gents, because 25% of the listeners here are guys too, what suggestions would you have for everybody to become a little bit more in tune and intuitive with what their body, mind, spirit wants, and how to access a life more filled with joy and get that Oxyplay?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really great question. As you're talking, it brings to mind a patient of mine that had come to see me. Her name was Zendi, and she was 36 years old. And she said, Dr. Anna, I'm really struggling. She goes, I can't manage my life. I'm getting chaotic. And she goes, I'm someone who I did carpool. I run my husband's companies, his books, and I have, the 4 kids. I know they have after school activities. I led in all of this. And now I feel so fragmented and disorganized. And honestly, I'm not getting along with my husband. I asked, is there a cycle to that? And of course there was. And like I always tell my clients, if you only hate your partner 2 weeks out of the month, it may be your hormones and not your partner. And so, or not entirely. So I said, well, let's do this. And the first thing I would do is, number one, I do my hormone symptom quiz. And so I just get their baseline score, and it also brings to light, oh, you mean some of these symptoms like constipation or urinary frequency or, are related to my hormones? Yeah, absolutely. And so I do that first, then I'll draw lab work, and then I detox them. I'm like, now it's my keto green detox and supplement support, liver support to help cleanse the liver. All the hormones run through the P450 enzyme system. So the endocrine disruptors and the toxic hormone or hormone mimicking burden that is on our bodies is unprecedented from any other generation that has come before us. So looking at this toxic burden, detoxing her. So I put her on my detox program, supplemented her with my Mighty Maca Greens superfood formula. And again, for adrenal and adaptogenic support, had her follow the nutrition and lifestyle plan and said, okay, I need you to come back in 4 to 6 weeks and we'll go over your labs and see how you're doing at that point. And she comes back in and she goes, Dr. Anna, oh my gosh, I forgot, I didn't know how bad I was feeling really till I started feeling good again. And she said, it is game changing. Her symptom score dropped 95%. And she just was radiant. You would, just lovely. And she said, Dr. Anna, the biggest thing is my daughter, Sophie, who's 6 years old, crawled into my lap the other day. And she goes, Mommy, you're smiling again. That's the difference, right? Decrease inflammation, optimize your hormones. And that helps you get into the state of living a life full of oxyplay, enjoying your life, having a joy-filled life. And is so important for women, especially moms, and we're busy. And, that our health is so critical to the health of our family. Our energy can infuse love or can infuse anxiety. Rachel, one more story. I lead my girlfriend doctor community. And just before we got on, I was on our hour Zoom call, and one of my clients, Tracy, she shared that, Dr. Anna, November is a stressful time. My son just is going through a divorce and he's living with us right now, and just breaking my heart. And I had so much anger around this whole situation, the divorce and the ex and all of those things. And she said, I took the November gratitude challenge, and in just 9 days, she goes, I feel like so much happier, so much at peace. I'm experiencing the peace that I will say that biblically, the peace that surpasses all understanding. And she goes, my son's happier too. That's the power we have in our life, and to affect those lives and relationships, and the ability to connect in positive ways with people around us.
Beautifully said. And kids pick up on things. I met up with one of my girlfriends recently, and being in Canada has been a little bit turbulent, and I really saw it in her. And then she saw the contrast in me, having done all this internal work to overcome certain things. And it was really interesting seeing the interaction with her and her child. And there's some things that people really need to work through right now, because when you're not as your best self, your kids, your family members are going to notice. So it's not all about putting up this front of looking like you're, feeling your best, when really you might not be internally. But it's okay to put those boundaries up, talk about things you want to talk about, not talk about things you don't want to talk about, reduce this people pleasing mentality, and just really focusing on our internal needs and protecting ourselves energetically so that we can continue to show up as our best version. So thank you for sharing that about your lovely clients and their journey and how they became more radiant through detoxing and becoming more hormonally balanced.
Yeah, my
Do you
pleasure.
have any closing words for us today, Dr. Anna Cabeca?
I think that just wherever you're at on your journey, always continue to look, trust your intuition. In order to trust your intuition, you have to have the physiology that radiates at a very high frequency. So through, empowering your body, detoxing, for me, it's the keto green way and optimizing my hormones through hormone replenishment and supporting the lifestyle. When you feel like you're out of balance, again, remember, physiology affects your behavior. So check in with yourself. Like, have I had enough water? Have I had enough protein? Have I had enough fun? Right? Have I had enough sex? I mean, these are important pieces of the puzzle. So have more Oxyplay, y'all.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that my girlfriend said after she saw me do this long fast and all this stuff, because I hadn't seen her in probably 4 months, she's like, whatever you've done, Rachel, I need you to bottle that up and I want it.
Yes,
She
yes.
saw big shifts in me through Oxyplay, through laughter, through finding joy, even in the hard times is really everything. And yes, don't be fooled. I'm here to teach you all the things that I learned in something up and coming that's very special. Dr. Anna Cabeca, I would love for you to shamelessly plug yourself. Where can people purchase your books? How can they work with you? How can they tune into your podcast and all of the wonderful things that you have to offer?
Yeah, thank you. I'm easy to find at dranna.com. So dranna.com. I'm at the Girlfriend Doctor on Instagram. So definitely connect with me there too. And I have amazing resources and created programs and products to help empower you on your journey to optimal health. So yeah, thanks for having me. I've written 3 books, The Hormone Fix. That's my magnus opus. I would definitely start there. My most recent book is Menu Pause with 5 different menu plans that each pause something. So a really fun name and a beautiful book. And then my book, Keto Green 16 for optimizing brain health. So yeah, definitely check those out and let me know how you like it. Thanks for having me, Rachel. Thanks,
My
everyone.
pleasure. My pleasure. And I'm going to be able to actually try a number of your products, your supplements, your topical skin products, your hair growth products. So next time we reconnect in a couple of months, I'll be able to share my insights and reviews. And you never know, you might end up finding some of Dr. Anna Cabeca's products on my e-store because, as you know, I like to source all the best of the best products on my e-store and shop page for skincare, supplements, hair, skin, nail, grooming supplies, and everything that you need to be your most beautiful, high vibe, radiant self in as much of a non-toxic way as possible. And you can check out everything that Dr. Anna Cabeca has to offer in the show notes. So just navigate to the show notes of today's episode. And thank you everyone who brought forward some great questions that I was able to ask Dr. Anna Cabeca live here. Be sure to subscribe, like, share this episode, comment, leave a review. And if you have any questions, send me a direct email, info@rachelvarga.ca. I'd love to hear from you. I'm here to be your guide on your journey of becoming your most brightest, high vibe, radiant, and a beautiful self. Thank you, Dr. Anna Cabeca, for joining us here today. And I'm sure you'll be back on the show.